Record. All right, here we go.
This meeting is being recorded.
Hi there, this is Evelyn with Magellan College Counseling. I'm here with my friend Eric Rath, who is the founder of Rath Education Group. I've known Eric for, I think we lost track, over 10 years at this point. I have sent many clients to do test prep with Eric, and he is top-notch. So thank you for joining me, Eric. We are just going to chat for a few minutes about the new digital SAT, which is rolling out to students in the United States in spring of 2024. So we're having this conversation in spring of 23. They have rolled it out internationally, so we do know a little bit about it, but you know way more than I know. So why don't you give us a little bit of information about what's different about this SAT?
Yeah, and the SAT kind of does this every 5 to 10 years. They're going to do a lot of marketing. They're going to say something's new. They had the writing section before with the essay, and then they took it away. So this is kind of standard, par for the course for the SAT. And a lot is staying the same. The grammar and the reading sections are almost the same, except that the reading passages are going to be much shorter. Instead of having, a 100-line reading passage followed by maybe 10 questions, you're pretty much going to have a single paragraph to a single question. So a little bit more manageable from the reading passage perspective. And then with the math, the biggest change is it's computer adaptive now. And a lot of students will mistake that for question by question computer adaptive, where the difficulty level changes with each answer you submit. That's not the case here. That is the case on some graduate school exams like the GMAT or GRE. But for the SAT, it's really how you do on that first module, basically your first math section. And whether you did better or worse, you're going to get a harder or easier section on the back end, which will affect kind of the ceiling of what you could score. So you really do want to make sure that you put in the time to have access to that higher score module for the second one by doing well on the first. But it's not a question by question basis.
Do you know what, if you don't do well on the first section, and so you get the lower math second section, do you know what the top score you can get is?
What I've seen so far is 650.
Okay.
So that it's basically a 200 to a 650 for the easier section and a 450 to an 800 on the harder section.
Okay. Wow. So you basically forfeit 150 points automatically if you do not do well enough in the first section. Do we know like how many you can get wrong in the first section to?
This is a great question, because traditionally each question had the same point value. Right. If you answered number one right, or even the hardest one on the last part of the test right, they'd count for the same right or wrong. But this time, because it's computer adaptive, how they're achieving that is they're following this idea called item response theory, where the questions themselves are weighted differently. So it's not just about how many you get right or wrong, it's which ones you get right or wrong. So one student could miss 5 really difficult questions and actually still get access to the harder section on the second module. Another student could miss 5 of the easy questions and they get sent into the easier kind of secondary module.
Test purgatory. And you don't know which section you're getting, right? So you just move on to the next section and you have to wait until your score comes out to realize which section you got.
Correct. And additionally, you used to be able to get a test information release, like question and answer service, where you could see exactly what you submitted, what you got right and wrong, exactly how that corresponded to a scoring scale. Now, though, that's going away completely, because each batch of questions is more rated on the content that they're testing and the weight of the difficulty. And that's going to be just arranged as uniquely for each student. So each student will go through the same content and the same range of difficulty levels, but with different questions and kind of a different array in front of them. And so they're just not releasing it from a transparency perspective like they did have in the past.
So this is supposed to curtail cheating. Yes?
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. And I mean, it generally will, because if each student has a different batch of questions that's testing the same
person next to you.
Stuff, yeah.
Bigger picture stuff about the user experience. The whole test is getting shorter by a third, right? So it's now a little over 2 hour exam instead of 3.5.
And I took it when it first came out. It's publicly available. Anyone can go download the app and try it out on their computer. And I have to admit, it was great. I really enjoyed the user experience. I mean, I have my own criticisms of the SAT or the ACT in general, but like if you had to take it, it's actually kind of nice. You have a calculator that you can use. You can eliminate answer choices. You can flag a question, and before you submit your score for that section, it'll have this set of every question, and it'll show which ones to flag. You can click right there, and it's like a link. It just takes you right back.
That's great.
So it's not like turning pages. It's really easy to bounce around and navigate.
That's convenient. In the grand scheme of things, though, like you said, SAT changes things up every couple of years. And my recollection is every couple of years we tell kids, don't take that the first year. Let's let somebody else, do it first and let them work out the kinks. Are you telling your students right now, or your students who are getting ready to prep for next spring testing, are you saying to them, let's not even touch this, let's just go ACT right now?
Generally, yes, I am saying stick with the ACT, and mainly because their last big redesign was in 2015. So we've got about 7+ to 8+ years of knowing exactly what's on it. Now, it comes with its own faults. Timing is difficult. Some students are turned off by the science section and the data analysis on it, but all of those same aspects are still on the SAT as well. It's just that those science components are embedded in the reading and the math and otherwise. So you can't really get a leg up by taking one over the other. But to me, it really comes down to there isn't that much new content on the SAT. It's more just a shift. Yeah. So do you want to be the guinea pig for that first couple of test dates next spring? Nope. Right. And so that's kind of why, all things being equal, maybe wait a couple test dates to see how it pans out and stick with the ACT. But this really only affects, it's the class of 2025.
25, yeah.
Yeah, because they're caught in the crossover.
Or 20, right? So 25 are caught in the crossover. 26s, if they happen to be in geometry in 9th, which would put them in algebra 2 in 10th. In a normal year, I would have them prep, somewhere between 10th and 11th, and then, but even then, if we have them take it, late summer between 10th and 11th, which for them would be 2024. The SAT will have had a little bit of a few sittings to work through some of the issues. Yeah.
I'd say next summer of 2024, that'll be kind of the touch point of, is it going well or not? Because this year in the fall, the PSAT will be fully digital, and that'll be our first domestic run through. Then we have the March exam, the May exam, and the June exam. So yeah.
Okay, so basically ACT, we have lots of information and lots of good ways to prep them effectively, and SAT, less. I
would even say the prepping and all of that side of it is totally there, because all of the materials out there, we have curriculum for it. That's fine. It's more, is the administration of the test going to go smoothly?
Going to go smoothly, right?
We'll see.
It almost never does. So there you have it. Even in a good year. All right. Well, this has been great. I appreciate your thoughts on this, Eric, and keep up the good work.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.